The snow started falling just as Daniel checked his phone for the third time. "Great. Just great," he muttered, pulling his jacket tighter. He was supposed to drop off the documents and leave. That was it. No drama. No dilas. Just another late-night task from his boss, Ms. Elena Carter, the cold, sharp CEO who barely smiled. But now, the roads were completely buried under thick snow, and he was stuck with her. "Looks like you're not going anywhere tonight," Elena said calmly, standing near the large glass window of her remote mountain cabin. Daniel exhaled slowly. "I have a daughter waiting for me." Elena turned slightly. For a moment, her usual icy expression softened. "You can call her. There's still signal. For now." Hours passed. The storm got worse. Electricity flickered once, then went out completely. Darkness, silence, and just the sound of the storm raging outside. "This place has one generator," Elena said, lighting a candle. "But it only powers one room." Daniel nodded. "That's fine. You take it." She looked at him, really looked this time. "You're freezing. Stop acting like a hero." Minutes later, they stood awkwardly at the bedroom door. One bed, one blanket, one heater. Daniel scratched the back of his neck. "I'll sleep on the floor." Elena sighed, clearly annoyed. "We're both adults. We'll share the bed." He froze. I don't think that's appropriate." She raised an eyebrow. "Do you always argue with your boss?" Reluctantly, he agreed. They lay on opposite edges of the bed, as far apart as possible. A thick silence filled the room. Then, "Why did your wife leave?" The question hit like lightning. Daniel stared at the ceiling. "She didn't leave," he said quietly. "She passed away 3 years ago." Elena went silent. For the first time, she didn't have a response. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Daniel smiled faintly in the dark. "It's okay. My daughter. She's the reason I keep going." A few moments later, Elena spoke again, softer this time. "My parents died when I was young. I built everything alone." Daniel turned slightly. "Is that why you never trust anyone?" She didn't answer, but she didn't deny it either. The storm howled louder. The temperature dropped. Without thinking, Elena moved slightly closer. Not inappropriate, not romantic, just human. "Do you ever get tired?" Daniel asked. "All the time," she admitted. "But I can't afford to stop." For the first time, they weren't boss and employee, just two broken people trying to survive the same storm. Morning came slowly. The storm had passed. Soft sunlight filled the room. Daniel woke up first. He realized something. Elena was asleep, resting against his shoulder. Peaceful, vulnerable, completely different from the woman everyone feared. He didn't move, didn't want to wake her. When she finally opened her eyes, she quickly pulled away. Awkward, embarrassed. "Last night doesn't change anything," she said, regaining her usual tone. Daniel smiled slightly. "Of course, Ms. Carter." But as they stepped outside into the calm, white world, something had changed. Not in words, not in rules, but in the way they looked at each other. Because sometimes it takes a storm to melt even the coldest hearts. The drive back to the city was quiet, too quiet. Daniel kept his eyes on the road, hands firm on the steering wheel. The snow had melted into slush, but the memory of last night still lingered, warm, confusing, and impossible to ignore. Beside him, Elena Carter was already back to her usual self. Cold, composed, untouchable, or at least pretending to be. "Drop me at the office," she said, checking her phone. "No, thank you." No mention of the night. Daniel gave a small nod. "Of course, Ms. Carter. but something about the way she avoided looking at him, it didn't feel normal. As the car stopped in front of the company building, Elena paused before stepping out. For a split second, she almost said something, but then, "Be in the meeting at 10. And just like that, she walked away. Daniel watched her disappear into the building. "Yeah, definitely nothing changed," he muttered under his breath. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. Office building at the office. The moment Daniel stepped inside, everything felt intense. People were whispering, glancing, watching. "Hey, weren't you with Ms. Carter last night?" one coworker asked. Daniel stiffened. "We got stuck due to the storm. That's all." The coworker smirked. "Sure, just the storm." Daniel clenched his jaw and walked away. This was exactly what he didn't want. Complications, rumors, trouble. Bar chart the meeting. At 10 sharp, everyone gathered in the conference room. Elena entered last. Confident, sharp, untouchable, like the woman from last night didn't even exist. "Let's begin," she said firmly. Her eyes scanned the room, and for just a second, they met Daniel's. A pause, barely noticeable, but real. "Daniel," she suddenly said. He straightened. "Yes, ma'am." "Present the quarterly report." He stood up, surprised. This wasn't planned, but he handled it smoothly, explaining everything with confidence. When he finished, the room went silent. Then, "Good," Elena said. Just one word. But coming from her, that was everything. The team was shocked. Ms. Carter never praised anyone. Daniel sat down, slightly confused. Why him? Why now? Hot beverage after the meeting. As everyone left, Elena's voice stopped him. "Daniel, stay." The room emptied. Now it was just the two of them. Again. "You did well," she said, looking at the documents. "Thank you." Silence. Heavy. Unfinished. Then, "That night stays between us." Her tone was firm. Professional. A wall going back up. Daniel nodded slowly. "I understand." But as he turned to leave, "Daniel," he stopped. She hesitated. Something rare. Something real. "Did you reach home late?" He blinked, slightly surprised. "Yeah. My daughter was asleep." A small pause. "Good," Elena said quietly. That was it. Nothing more. But the way she said it, it wasn't just a question. It was concern. House that night. Daniel sat beside his daughter's bed, watching her sleep. He brushed her hair gently. "You'd like her," he whispered softly. "She's not as scary as she looks." For the first time in years, someone had entered his thoughts, not as a boss, but as something more. Ice Cube, meanwhile,
Elena.
back in her penthouse, Elena stood by the window, staring at the city lights. Her reflection looked different, softer, uncertain. She touched her shoulder slightly, as if remembering something. "This is a mistake," she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction, because no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't forget the warmth of that night, and deep down, she didn't want to. The whispers started small. A glance here, a smirk there, but by the end of the week, the entire office was talking. "Did you hear? Daniel spent the night with Ms. Carter." "No way, seriously?" "In a cabin, alone." Daniel slammed his locker shut harder than he intended. "This is getting out of hand," he muttered. He had tried to ignore it, tried to stay professional. But rumors? They had a life of their own. Office building, meanwhile.
Elena.
Elena sat in her office, eyes locked on her laptop. But she wasn't reading. She was listening. They looked good together, though. "I heard she promoted him," That's how these things always start. Her jaw tightened. One sharp motion. She closed the laptop. Call everyone into the conference room, she told her assistant coldly. Bar chart emergency meeting. Within minutes, the entire team gathered. Confused, nervous, silent. Elena walked in, heels clicking against the floor. Every step precise. Every movement controlled. I've been made aware, she began, voice sharp as ice, that this office has developed an interest in fiction. No one spoke. No one dared. If anyone here has time to spread rumors, she continued, then perhaps you have too little work. A pause. Dead silence. Let me be clear, she said, her eyes sweeping the room. What happens outside of work is irrelevant. But inside this company, professionalism is not optional. Her gaze stopped on Daniel, just for a second. Am I understood? Yes, ma'am, the room echoed. Meeting dismissed. But the tension? It didn't leave. Smiling face with horns, the rival appears. Later that afternoon, she walked in, confident, elegant, dangerous. Sophia Blake, senior executive, and the one person in the company who wasn't afraid of Elena. Well, Sophia said with a smirk, stepping into Elena's office. Looks like you've been busy. Outside of work. Elena didn't even look up. State your purpose. Sophia leaned against the desk. I'm just curious. Since when do you break your own rules? Now Elena looked at her. Cold. Warning. I don't. Sophia chuckled. Then why is your driver suddenly your favorite employee? The air turned sharp. Be careful, Sophia. Oh, I am, she said sweetly. But you should be too. She leaned closer, voice dropping. Because if there's even a hint of scandal, the board won't just question him. They'll question you. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. Sophia straightened and smiled. Just a friendly reminder. Then she walked out. Man walking Daniel's side. Daniel was heading out when, working late again? He turned. Sophia. I like dedicated men, she said, stepping closer.